So we're back now with this application with the relation around it. We break it up to this part with the things, the surroundings. We know the relations. Now we built the component inside the app, and we say this is a component diagram for ATM app. ATM with the system, app is the container, and now we're building components. So it's kind of a notation, as if like a namespace in Java or C#. We'll start building this, see what's inside, and connect that to. As similar to what we did, is just to go in deeper in one level. So let's say we do green inside here now. So let's say we have a UI, and that would be maybe Angular, the tech stack, what it does, kind of information that's relevant to the discussion of the development team. And I understand this would be the same relation we had before, which is view, accounts, and audit. Do transactions. We'll do this one. You have the operator UI. So we agreed that in the same app, we will create an interface for the operator to do one of the original use cases for this. So for we discussed here that we broke down the two relations, the relation that he has, split down maybe the reports for the hardware reports into a different portal or app, and this will be in the same app, and this is what we're breaking up. So this will be refilled, or whatever they call that, replenish, so dollars. And here we imagine there will be a model behind those. Again, you give a name to this relation if needed. If you have a UI and model, you kind of figure out what is the relation. You would have that account manager. We have a connection for it, or we agreed there is a gateway. So this will be the gateway. And will be maybe the model will go to this. Maybe you decide we have two different models, one model for the account side and one model for the transaction adapter. And this is a kind of discussion you have. It's a similar discussion in a narrow scale. Now we're talking components within the app. You go back to the other apps and do the same, and you have more of a tree. You have a system context. You have container diagram for the system you're building. Maybe you're building multiple systems, and then you take this down to components. For each container, you have the component diagram for it, and then you take each component and break it into code for another one. So you end up with this tree. It's easier to navigate than a big, complicated, very detailed architecture diagrams. So we imagine here for the other users working, this is kind of the relation we had here. So for this app, database, account gateway, transaction manager, we have these two, and we have these two relations. So the database, maybe I would decide to do a DB access layer, or adapter, or a wrapper. And this is where would that go direct, or you have something here as a component, and then you start breaking it down. That's kind of the discussion you would have. And here again, you would have a component diagram for the name, and you start taking maybe the model and break it down now to code. And when you start taking the model, breaking into code, you think, okay, before we do that, we had a relation here. Maybe it's relevant or not to send emails. So we start breaking maybe the model. Inside this, maybe you think, okay, I would have test drive the development of this model and let it emerge. Or maybe I would have a higher level class design using the communication diagram, one of the videos we had before, at least some objects and what they expect from each other. So you kind of identify objects and endpoints. If you think about it, it will be similar to what we've done in these 3 levels. So this is component level. And this is the container level. So in every level we do kind of the same. We break down the box into more details. So here we took the system with this relation, expanded it, and you would have what will go inside and what are the containers. And then we decided on one container and took it here to break it down. You'll go to the other ones and break it down if needed, and you end up with this tree. Now you take one of those and take it to the code level, and maybe inside that code use another more class level modeling tool. The communication diagram was one of them, or just follow the same concept. Inside the model I would have different areas. I don't need to go to the class level. And again, it depends on the team comfort level. Is it good enough that we understand what we're doing? I don't like to detail the code into the class attribute level. I would rather have some layout with a communication diagram or not, and do a test-driven development and let the design emerge as you go. But sometimes you would have a big team, different teams working in the same thing. You would have some sort of a shared understanding of where we're heading. High-level component with a communication diagram, or just areas, a concept in general of a pattern, a design pattern would be using inside this. So I'll pause the video and I'll go back here and maybe get a feeling of how this will look like. Not much. Again, we covered the class design tool in the communication diagram and the class design diagram before. So I will pause while I create this to get a feeling of how this will look like, and we'll wrap this up.